Dame Helen Mirren is often celebrated for her elegance, talent, and award-winning performances. But behind the Oscars and red carpet glamour lies a bold, fearless performer who took on some of the most controversial roles in film history. Long before she became a household name, Mirren was pushing the limits of cinema, starring in movies so provocative that censors around the world didn't know what to do with them. These weren't just shocking for the sake of it, they were daring, artistic, and unforgettable. One of her earliest and most infamous roles came in 1979's Caligula, where she portrayed Messalina, the seductive wife of the Roman emperor. The film, drenched in graphic violence and explicit scenes, quickly became one of the most controversial movies of its time. It was banned in Australia, censored across Europe, and released in multiple versions, some heavily edited, others more raw. Mirren's nude scenes, intended as historical authenticity, became the center of censorship debates that still spark conversation today. The film remains a powerful example of how Helen never backed down from roles that challenged societal norms. In 1989, she delivered another unforgettable performance in The Cook, the thief, his wife and her lover. Set in a grotesque world of greed and gluttony, Helen played Georgina, a woman caught in a brutal web of control and desire. The movie's mix of disturbing imagery, violent scenes, and intense intimacy led to bans in Chile and Finland. In Australia, over 20 scenes were cut just to secure an R rating. Critics debated whether the film was art or exploitation, but there was no question about Helen's bravery. Her performance was emotional, raw, and completely unfiltered. Even earlier, in 1988's The Lair of the White Worm, Mirren took on a role in a wild, surreal horror story directed by Ken Russell. The film featured dreamlike sequences, eerie symbolism, and a notorious scene in which Mirren appeared semi-nude, menaced by a giant serpent. The British Board of Film Classification demanded cuts to tone down the surreal horror and gore, though the final version still retained much of its edge. Russell himself admitted that the censorship diluted the full vision, but Mirren's performance remained one of the film's most gripping elements. In 1981's Eye of the Needle, Helen played a betrayed wife caught in a deadly game of wartime espionage. While not banned outright, the film caused controversy in several countries for scenes involving sexual tension and psychological danger. In Germany, certain scenes were shortened, and British censors also trimmed moments of intimacy to meet classification standards. Despite these edits, Mirren delivered a powerful, emotionally charged performance that remained impactful even through the cuts. Then came The Passion of Darkly Noon in 1995, a surreal psychological thriller where Mirren took on a supporting role in a film filled with disturbing imagery, nudity, and haunting dream sequences. Though the final version was approved uncut by British censors, earlier versions faced pressure to tone down several scenes. As always, Helen's choice of roles reflected her deep interest in stories that stirred discomfort and sparked conversation. What ties all of these films together is Helen Mirren's unwavering commitment to authenticity. She didn't play it safe. She embraced the bold, the strange, the controversial, choosing characters and directors who weren't afraid to explore the taboo. Whether facing censors or critics, Mirren stood firm in her belief that storytelling should be fearless. These roles didn't just push boundaries, they redefined them. So if you want to see Helen Mirren at her most daring, seek out the original, uncut versions of these films. You'll witness a performer who wasn't afraid to challenge the rules and remind the world that real art lives outside the lines. Subscribe to Star Buzz for more stories from Hollywood's most fearless legends.